We're at the 30A Songwriters Festival 2025 in South Walton, Florida. Jesse Scott for WMOT with Maggie Rose. How are
Jesse?
you?
I'm so good. It's always good to see you.
It's always good to see you.
And especially at the beach.
Always good to see the beach.
Even better.
And the waves are kicking up and the wind is blowing, but it's still sort of sultry.
Very moody.
Yeah.
Good for some slow ballads.
Love that.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm great. I'm really good. It's been a busy year.
I know. I've been watching you jet set across the country, girl.
Yeah, I'm a little tired, but the excitement is carrying me through. It's all worth it.
Yeah. Lots of things going on. You just played Kimmel.
Yes. Yeah.
How was that?
It was lovely. Probably the nicest crew I've ever worked with. And they are they seem to really love their work. And with everything going on in LA, we were kind of apprehensive about what mood we would find, but they made us feel so welcome right away. And they're keeping the music going and people want to keep working. So it felt really cool to be able to play No One Gets Out Alive too on that stage and just everything going on. It was very exciting. My first late night experience was a great one.
So cool.
Yeah.
And then you go back to LA pretty soon too.
I do. Yes, I'll be
so
right
excited
back
for
there.
you.
Thank you. My first Grammys, a lot of firsts for me. And obviously I'm carrying this little one around with me, so I get to show him when he's finally born. Look, you were on all these different places. This is your pregnancy photo album. All these spots. But yeah, it's been great.
So exciting.
Very exciting, and I feel good physically, so I'm just going to keep taking whatever comes my way.
Is it hard to sing?
Yes.
With the diaphragm?
Yeah, apparently your diaphragm is compressed like at least 4 centimeters. So there's some songs where there's certain phrases where I'm anticipating them a little bit differently than normal. But I don't know. I'm gonna keep pushing my luck. It's been okay so far.
How about dressing? Is dressing kind of a challenge, or is it better now?
It was a challenge. Now that it's very evident that I'm pregnant, I think it's easier to dress. But before it was like, she's just been hitting the drive-through a lot, or I don't know. It felt a little bit crazy. And then also mentally, there's so much that's going on with your perception of your physicality that I think the more I've progressed throughout it, the more grace I've given myself. So,
which is a good thing to do.
That I think makes it all seem more manageable. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's hormones, and there's all kinds of.
Oh yeah.
You can't account for wanting some of the foods that you want or not wanting the other ones, or
someone else is kind of in control.
Yeah.
But it also feels like a really creative time, and it's put all the highs and the lows in perspective. It's just sort of kind of evened it all out and made it just more manageable because just everything feels a little bit more forgiving, knowing what else is looming larger.
It's really an interesting time. I mean, I have been through this too. So,
yeah.
And it does change your perspective about life. It, makes you look at the world totally in a different way. And the thing that's really cool is that you get to re-experience life through your child's eyes.
Yeah.
And it's reawakening all kinds of things that, we sort of through the day don't pay that much attention to.
Sure.
But there's
Every
so
day
much,
is like a first.
Yeah, so much joy, so much, experimentation and re-experiencing things is really a trip. So that's coming.
I look forward to it. Yeah, I might need some help from you throughout it, but yeah, it's an exercise in vulnerability for sure. But we're sort of used to doing that in our line of work.
I dare say.
Getting close to that feeling.
High wire act.
Right, yeah.
When do you do?
April 13th.
Exciting.
Yes. If he arrives on tax day, we can write him off, but he won't make it that far. I think I'm going to get him here on the 13th.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, it's good knowing too. It's probably put some plans on hold that you might have.
It has, yeah. But we also have dates with Tedeschi Trucks already on the books after, and Stapleton. So The workload's a lot lighter than our typical pace, but it's just a time to reset, and it's a nice way to kind of go to the Grammys, and I have a few little commitments in between then, but that's like, I'm going to the Grammys and I'm going on maternity leave, and that feels like a pretty cool way to just wrap it up into that next chapter.
When you got the Grammy nod, what was that day like?
I was actually on a hike. I was out in the woods. There's this path that I take around Shelby Bottoms, and I knew that the broadcast was happening, and I knew that I would inevitably hear the news. And I think because I had my fitness setting on, I was only getting calls from like a certain list of people. And when I didn't hear at 11 a.m., I was like, well, we tried, and there's a lot of great albums that have come out this year. And, I think we deserved it, but I certainly wasn't expecting it. And then I took the fitness mode off for a second to call Austin, and I got all of these texts and realized that I had been, given that nod. And Austin, my husband, was in a parking garage at the same time the announcement was made, so he and I both were unreachable for a few minutes, and I was on the phone with him when the elevator doors to his office at Starstruck, because he's in management, opened, and I heard all the women I work with just squealing in the background, and it was very surreal. And it was nice to be, out in nature, and it's just been kind of a crazy year, and I already knew I was expecting at that time. And with this record has had lots of different iterations and lives. I released it with one label. I've since left that label only a few months after it came out, found a new partner. We submitted for this award on our own. So it just felt like I was being given another opportunity to let this music reach people that it hadn't had the chance to reach yet, too, just by being given that recognition from my peers.
Well, also, you've been on such an interesting trajectory. You come to Nashville with, okay, this is maybe what's going to happen, and maybe it'll be country, and, that's kind of a standard operating thing, especially, I don't know exactly how long you've been in Nashville, but when you first arrived, and to have kind of followed your heart into the music that, is good for your soul and your voice and who you are.
Right.
It's taking you out of that, whatever that first goal might have been.
Totally.
And it's been years in the making. So
I just had my 17-year anniversary in January.
Wow.
Of being a Nashville resident, and exactly your point. There was a template that I thought I was going to follow. I came here as a teenager, and a lot of those years in the beginning were so experimental, and I had to explore a lot of things, and I think it took a long time to get here, but this is the kind of music I want to make, and it feels sustainable, and I'm kind of glad that maybe that extra time is allowing me to operate in this way, and things that aren't really who I am aren't like clinging to me in a way that I have to explain them away. I feel like this music is how I want to be understood, and it's a good thing to continue to build off of.
I like how many times you've played the Opry, too.
Yeah, they keep inviting me back, which I appreciate, because you think of the Opry and you're like, oh, it's so country and traditional, but I think they've done a really good job at just expanding the breadth of who they're inviting, that it's more like of a Nashville snapshot, and there's Americana artists, and there's people that I think you wouldn't have normally expected to see on the Opry stage that they're inviting, which is why they'll continue to live on, because they've been around for a long time, but you need to
years?
grow and examine.
This is the 100th year.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
And you have to be self-aware to stay alive for that long and kind of see what else is out there.
Well, I like that, they play a lot of the artists on their stage that we play on the radio, so it's great.
They have great taste. Yeah.
We love watching that. And the other thing that I absolutely adore that you do is your series.
It's called Salute the Songbird. I love doing that as well. I'm trying to take some journalism cues from you, and I've taken it to a live format, which is really nice because it started during the pandemic when I was so starved for that connection, and the live format wasn't an option. So it's cool that it's been around long enough now where we can have live music and an audience, and the conversations just fly by when you have people in front of you, and you can just see your guests lighting up and definitely reacting off that energy. And I have Molly Tuttle coming up, who's incredible, Brittany Spencer, Caitlin Smith, and the list is ever growing of women that I want to talk to. And it makes me a better musician and a better listener. So those are good things.
It's really great. It's such a different kind of part of your brain.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. And you need to jump into these other women's worlds and careers, and you can perceive them as just having everything going for them, and you realize how many common struggles you share. And I hope it encourages people at all stages of their career, or male or female, to know that there's this very human connection of people just constantly working away at trying to get to do it their way.
It's a good thing.
Yes.
So the new record,
Yes.
we'll talk about whatever might be coming next, but it's been out for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
And what are you going to play for us? Now, I say this because we actually had you on stage at Roots on the Rivers well before the record came
Yes,
out.
you
And
did.
you debuted a whole bunch of songs for us. Also at Eastside Bowl for Americana.
Yes. You guys have
And,
been there from the beginning.
So I don't know that there's any music that we haven't got already from different performances, which makes it a little challenging asking you to play for us. But what are you going to play for us?
There are a few remaining, and I think especially just in like a solo acoustic setting, it works really well. And with our lovely, gloomy Florida day, I'm going to play a song called Only Time Around, which is, I wrote it with Cliff Aldrich and Pat McLaughlin, and it's about just that being in the moment, which is a very big theme for the record. The second song I'll play is called Too Young, and I wrote it with Natalie Hemby. And a lot of it was inspired by what we were talking about earlier, just finding your voice and moving to town very young, and trying to figure out who we were. And then also getting that devil off our shoulder that said it was too late for us to course correct. Because I think no matter what you do, a lot of people feel that way. And then the last song is a song I wrote with Chuck Harmony and Claude Kelly called Vanish. And it is sort of about ghosting and those relationships that end totally unresolved. And that was my way to navigate the feelings that resulted from that.
Let's listen. Maggie Rose, WMOT Roots Radio at the 30A Songwriters Festival. What a sweet song that is. Vanish, because you're giving yourself grace. You're giving yourself the opportunity to move past whatever, things that are in your mind.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was definitely self-soothing, and it was probably one of the earlier songs that I had written, where the collection of songs that eventually made up this record started to come together. And without even really trying, the themes were just working with one another. And it allowed me to kind of move forward a little lighter, because we aren't always going to get a tidy resolution to even relationships that don't sustain.
It's cool that you get to write about it too, and I know other people respond when they hear these songs, and that's part of the joy too, just being able to put something out there and having other people go, yeah, I've lived that, and I need to let it go also.
Yes.
So
I think that's one of the hardest things as you get older, is to just not carry those things around forever. And when people tell you about their experience with the song, it renews it for me too. No matter how long ago I wrote it, it just kind of makes me feel like it has new purpose to it.
what else might be coming down the pike obviously baby in April.
Yes.
Are you working on new music?
I am.
Oh my
I am working on
goodness.
new music, and I have already started putting the next record together because I figured I would be a little busy over the next couple months. So at the very beginning of this year, I've recorded a bunch of songs, which will allow me to have a running start. And then because this is such a creative time, I think it's going to be fun to make a record knowing that I have this start, and what else am I going to do to fill in the rest of it and color the rest of the album that's going to sort of signify this chapter.
It's a really cool thing, too, to look at it that way, that you're writing from this moment and what this moment brings. And
leaving room for it to breathe, too.
Yeah,
I've never made a record like that. I've almost just, the last 2 albums specifically, I knew everything I was going to cut going into it. And even though we didn't do it all at once, I knew what the song list would be. And then the tracking list changes many times. That will always be the case. We rearrange it and figure out how to flow it like a set list. But it will give me some room to just kind of ruminate over what's going on and what's about to happen that I have no idea yet how I will feel about.
You'll be tired.
Yeah, exactly.
I promise.
I believe you.
6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's such an experience. I mean,
Yes. So we'll see what songs come about, and maybe we'll just need to write those and get through them and not record them and get onto the other side. Finish the record out.
It's all good, and again, whatever you write is, sort of, going to touch people in a commonality kind of way. So even if you're really like specific,
sure,
it's still going to be universal.
It will be an adventure. Yes.
It always is.
Yeah, it is.
But then you have been on such an adventure, and it's just been such a joy to watch how life has unfolded for you. It's great.
Thank you, Jesse.
So
Thank you guys
excited.
for always supporting, and it's nice to have encouragement, especially when you're kind of trying to figure it out.
Well, we can't wait to see what you do next.
Me too.
And I can't wait to see what the Grammys hold, and I'm praying for you.
Thank you.
For, an exciting night. And I think just to be nominated is exciting
Absolutely.
to begin with.
Yes, there's a lot of really great music out there, so we feel honored. And it'll be a busy week when we're out there. I'm performing at the Music Cares fundraiser with Jim James. We're obviously honoring Persons of the Year, Grateful Dead, which is insane. I'm not trying to think too hard about it right now. It makes
Do you know
me
what
nervous.
song you're doing yet?
I do.
But you can't tell me.
I don't believe I can.
I knew that. I
But
sort of knew that.
I was ready for a lot of different options. I love the one that they ended up picking. We're also going to honor John Hyatt at the Troubadour, and I was with Lily Hyatt last night, so that'll be really fun. And then I also work a lot with the Recording Academy on getting legislation passed for music makers to make it make sense. So I'll be performing at that event and speaking to the ever-evolving AI presence in the creative process. So it'll be a really fun week. And then, of course, the day of, if they call my name, I'll be there. If not, I will be happy to be there anyway.
Yeah. Well, we're so happy to have had you here.
Thank you.
To us here at WMOT at the 38th Songwriters Festival. Maggie Rose, Jesse Scott.
Thanks, Jesse.
It's so great.
Thank you.